Welcome back, everyone. Once again, our topic this Sunday morning is who has jurisdiction over the waterways or dry washes in southern Utah. Now, the definition of terms is what's really important here in our panel. When we were in break, Dean Cox of Washington County, you were talking about the definition of navigable waterways, which is key to this in legal
it is.
terms.
When the Clean Water Act was passed, and there was a real need for the passage of that act. But when the act was passed, it defined the jurisdictional waters as the navigable waters of the United States. There's been expansion and contraction, but as the Congress has been meeting the last few sessions, there's been a move to strike the word navigable from that definition and call it just simply the waters of the U.S. That hasn't been able to make it past Congress, but in the new proposed guidelines that the Corps that are being considered by the Army Corps of Engineers, they've just removed that term themselves and they call it the waters of the U.S.
Then that's a broader definition.
To us, that's a real expansion of, or a potential expansion of jurisdiction.
Is there a barrier between federal and state jurisdiction, Jason?
There's not a barrier. There's actually an overlap. The state of Utah regulates the streams and waters of Utah. The Corps of Engineers regulates navigable waterways and their tributaries. They essentially can have the same definition, and they do overlap. There are some waterways that the Corps does not regulate, that the state does, such as maybe an isolated river that may flow out into the basin, out Beaver Way or something. The state may still have jurisdiction over it, but the Corps may not because it doesn't fall under the Clean Water Act. Conversely, there are some waterways, such as some ephemeral streams, that the Corps may assert jurisdiction over, but the state does not have jurisdictional authority over those types of streams. So it can be very confusing to the public. We've actually created a permit to help reduce some of that confusion. It's a joint permit with the state Stream Alterations Division under Division of Water Rights for impacts to streams. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. Both entities review the permits and authorize in a single swoop without people having to shop different divisions and agencies to find out who needs to give authorization.
Has this joint permitting process worked well for those of you with the state and county?
Well, there's no question that the GP 40, which he's referring to, is a very useful, if you will, permit system for both for the federal and the state governments and for the general public. But you might ask, why would we care? Why does the state care about this? Why not, if we're both going to regulate it, why not just let the federal government do it? And the reason, of course, is that when you have a federal permit, you have a federal action, and a federal action gives rise to certain legal consequences, including the application of other federal laws, including NEPA, endangered species, and a number of other acts. That's why it's been said that the Clean Water Act is the nation's largest land use planning law. This was recognized, of course, by Congress when they stressed the importance of the states retaining primacy over their own land use planning. And that is the reason, not because both the federal government and the state government don't want clean water. They both want clean water. It's what flows from having the decisions made at the federal level.
You were nodding your head, Dean.
I was. It is an issue really, how do we proceed? What is jurisdictional, what is not? For our county with a total budget in its road department of just slightly over $1 million, if we start having to do endangered species studies and some of the other things that would come into play if they're jurisdictional under the Army Corps, it's vastly different than if it's something that can be handled with the old permit under the state of Utah.
Now, I know all of you have been in some discussions over exactly that, how to proceed. How we'll proceed right now is take a commercial break, and we'll be back in a moment with more on that. We'll be right back.
Logan, Utah. We've got it all and so can you. It's in your own backyard.
Won't you come and play?
Zion National Park is TripAdvisor's best national park, and St. George, Utah was named the #1 travel hotspot. If you haven't planned your St. George or Zion getaway yet, visit atozion.com and find out why everyone else is already packing.
Won't you come and play?
St. George, Utah. Everything from A to Zion.
What are the words that describe the perfect destination? Finding them all in one place is easy if you know where to look. Millard County in the heart of Utah offers ATV adventures, rock crawling events, art festivals, and nature at its most epic. Millard County, Utah. Find out what you've been searching for.
In order for there to be adventure, there must first be a land that offers it. In order for there to be discovery, there must first be something undiscovered. It's time you discovered northeastern Utah's dinosaur lands, the trails, water, beauty, and history that have been 65 million years in the making. Take your journey to a destination where adventure is only limited by your imagination. Join us in Uinta County, Undiscovered Utah.